iDubbbz Ian Jamha, the self-proclaimed king of empathy, is once again self-sabotaging his monolith of empathy, which is the charity event he runs called Creator Clash. The first event did well and went very smoothly, so for the second year they got a big head and decided to double the size of everything, despite doing nothing different with the event other than just making it have more matchups and cost more money. He didn't even add any amazing matchups that would be like the thing to get people to come to Creator Clash 2. So it being the second time around and people already seen Creator Clash 1, Creator Clash 2 didn't do as well, and due to the higher costs and them having chosen to prioritize fighter pay and all event costs before then using the profits that may come afterwards for charity, they actually ended up losing money by around $250,000, which they then had to make an apology video for. And the reason why that cost was so high is because on top of doubling the event in terms of scope and size, they also decided to prioritize the money towards expensive events like galas, which if you're doing an event for charity, touting it as being better than other influencer events because it is for charity, they directly did that in their advertising on iDubbbz's channel, you would think they would try to keep the costs as low as possible in order to maximize the amount of money that goes to charity, since that's the whole point of the event. But no, the party comes first, the kids with cancer later. Almost as if the event itself was the focus for them, with the charity aspect being more of a marketing ploy than an actual attempt to raise the most money possible for a good cause. Which coincidentally kind of parallels how Ian has tried to use the concept of empathy to promote a better image of himself, even though all of his actions go against what an empathetic person would do. Like for example, the other horrible thing Ian did with Creator Clash 2, that being kicking one of their fighters, Froggy Fresh, only about a month before the event actually happened, essentially wasting all of the time and energy Froggy took into fighting for that event, starting from when he was confirmed for the event many months prior. And then after screwing him over with that, he made an entire expose video on Froggy Fresh afterwards. Very empathetic. But now, with Creator Clash 3, which he somehow decided to do, after how the second one went, he decided to notch his empathy up to 11, and not only screw over one member of the Creator Clash fighting roster, but multiple, as he somehow thought it was a good idea to revive his long-awaited Content Cop series in order to expose the boss and friend of one of the fighters in Creator Clash 3, that being Lena from the H3 podcast. Yes, iDubbbz made a Content Cop on H3. The people who have been collabing with and defending Ian through all of his hard times over the last 8 years got a Content Cop video made on them. Their audience and promotion of the event is a big reason to why Creator Clash 1 was so successful. A huge portion of people were there to see AB from the H3 podcast fight. I was there in the audience live when he fought in Creator Clash 1, and on first-hand account I can attest that the H3 fans were wild and abundant. But despite some creators being more popular and having bigger fan bases than AB from the H3 podcast, or even Ethan himself, a huge portion of the audience was still H3 because H3 did the best job at consistently promoting and hyping up Creator Clash 1 and 2, and even 3 up until the Content Cop, as it was brought up frequently in multiple podcasts as AB was preparing to train and obviously is a part of the show, so it's gonna come up every once in a while, on top of Ethan doing dedicated episodes with Ian to talk about how the event went or how it's going to go in their own dedicated episodes. So empathetic Ian thought it would be a great idea to cut off a huge portion of Creator Clash's audience that would have otherwise helped raise money for charity through the event, just to make a Content Cop on Ethan Klein, and create personal and professional conflict for one of the fighters in your upcoming event, being Alina from the H3 podcast. Also, you can make a Content Cop on H3, a series that hasn't been updated in the last 7 years. You couldn't wait a couple more months until after your event, as anyone with empathy and foresight for their fighting roster would highly consider doing? Is this not a thought that went through Ian's obviously empathetic mind? Or did he actively acknowledge and deny the empathetic value that comes from not complicating things for your fighters in your upcoming charity boxing event. But making things hard for Lena isn't even the only thing that this content cop did to affect the roster of Creator Clash 3, as the content cop on H3 is focused on the feud Ethan Klein is having recently with his former podcast host and political Twitch streamer Hassan Piker. And the crux of their disagreement is all based around the war that is going on in Israel and Palestine, which is a hugely controversial global conflict that involves real lives and shouldn't really be talked about by iDubbbz, who is known for Content Cop. I mean, we unironically have a picture of skinhead bald Ian Jamha wearing a Palestinian scarf and is holding a sword with a symbol resembling a swastika that has been referred to the owner, Hassan Piker, as his swastika sword.
Immediately goes for the swastika one, got it.
I like this already much better. You're the one who owns this.
While one of the fighters in your main headline matchup for your upcoming charity boxing event has the name Harley Morenstein. Might not be the smartest thing to do, or very empathetic to the position that puts Harley Morenstein in. Like, either Ian is dense as hell, or has no empathy for his fighters. And now because of all of this, despite Harley being a huge supporter and participant in the previous 2 Creator Clash events, has now dropped out of Creator Clash 3. His opponent LA Beast said he was going to keep fighting. Harley retweeted that, and then LA Beast got too stressed, took down the tweet, and said he deleted his last post because his brain started to hurt, and now he just wants to focus on getting the next thing done. Which, hey, making a tweet that you don't like and deleting it isn't like the worst position Ian could put someone in, but I do think it's pretty emblematic of how a lot of the Creator Clash 3 fighters must be feeling about the upcoming event. Which is pretty ironic considering one of the reasons Froggy Fresh got banned was to allegedly preserve a more positive environment for the fighters going into their matches on fight day. But how positive is that environment going to be for Creator Clash 3 when the main headliner of the event and someone who has been in all previous events isn't there? Even before Harley dropped out, we had veteran Creator Clash fighters like Nathan Barnett, aka Dad, who participated in Creator Clash 1 and 2, and is going to be in the upcoming 3rd one, saying in the paid members H3 podcast chat that the whole thing is a bummer and it's really weird that Ian put out that video. And as you can tell by Nathan being a channel member on H3, as well as being in all 3 of iDubbbz's boxing events, that Ian and Ethan's fanbase has not only been very intertwined from an audience perspective over the last 8 years, but also within the creator space as well. And since Creator Clash is an event explicitly to bring a bunch of different content creators in the space together to fight for charity, it just takes what was already a wild idea of going after Ethan Klein and making a content cop on him into an even stupider and unempathetic idea because you have this upcoming event with all of these people who have close ties to Ethan. The only thing I can think of that would give Ian a bit of a pass would be that he was so tunnel visioned and focused on creating Content Cop H3 that he didn't think how it would affect his charity boxing event at all, which seems extremely unlikely. But the reason I'm even proposing this is because of how oddly quick the turnaround was for the Content Cop. As less than a month before it dropped, Ian was explaining on his podcast how he didn't want to go near that feud at all, and now fast forward less than a month later, and you have a full hour-plus long Content Cop video with a Hassan skit in it that would have required them to fly out to where Hassan lives to record it, all within that very short time span. So maybe he literally wasn't thinking about anything else, but considering how much work and how big of a deal it is to make an event like Creator Clash 3 a reality, I highly doubt that was the case. But whatever reason he actually had for releasing Content Cop before Creator Clash 3, that decision definitely lacked empathy. Just as making a Content Cop on H3 in general would lack a ton of empathy. Ethan has had Ian's back in every drama he's been in, most of the time being the only big content creator to come to his defense for the past 5 or so years that Ian has been disliked online. And as soon as Ethan gets into a huge feud, Ian decides to pick the opposing side. It's just crazy how loyalty doesn't really mean anything to some YouTubers, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say about all of this in the comment section below. Thank you guys for listening, And I'll leave you off with this image of a very empathetic Ian and Anisa Jamha.